And I think it's really funny because Cheryl, when she spoke today, she also had kind of a diagram slide for her family, so I thought that was really cute and funny. But I'm a mom and a Duchenne mom first, and so I'll start with myself. My husband, Clint, he's here today, and my kids are here too. And it's my anniversary today. My husband and I have been married 18 years today, and we just barely realized that that was happening today. So, but my husband is a terrific spouse and a terrific dad. And then my two kids, my daughter Rinna, she is a writer. She writes poetry. She loves animals. Foxes are her favorite, and she makes me proud every day. And my son Grant is 11. And I wrote on here 4th grader and 6th grader because now that it's summer, you know, I realized my kids are going to be going to the next grade. He loves video games. He loves animals too. He knows a lot of things, and he has DMD. So my first thinking is that, you know, when we were diagnosed with DMD, in our situation, Grant was diagnosed in 2017. He was 5 years old when he was given the diagnosis of DMD. And we all got a different diagnosis on that day, and it was in preparing for this talk that I kind of made that connection. If you, like myself, are a carrier, then we were also diagnosed with that, maybe not necessarily on that day, but at that time. But all of us in this journey, the day that we were given a DMD diagnosis, we were also given the diagnosis as caregiver. And I think because we're parents, maybe we kind of brush over that role, but I think there's a lot in that it's helpful for us to kind of take a moment with, sit with, think with, and kind of look at a little bit. So that's my slide for diagnosis. So this caregiver goal versus caregiver reality, you know, in thinking about this, I wanted to come and kind of give you guys tools. We all want to leave here with tools that we have for our toolbox, that when we leave here, we have more to help us with our journey than when we came. And so I tried to research some stuff, and I found really good advice. This slide at the top shows some advice, which is, you know, all these things that we should do, because we do understand, I think, that if we want to be quality caregivers, the best thing we can do is take care of ourselves first. And so here's some good advice: to slow down, be positive, meditate, go outside. And I think that's all really great. It's wonderful advice, but in preparing for this, I thought, as good as I think it is, it doesn't mean that I always follow that advice myself. I found this other one that's kind of a meme that didn't sleep much, but I got a few solid hours of worrying done. And I thought, you know, it's kind of funny to come and maybe give a presentation and talk about things that maybe I don't actually do for myself. And so the second slide for me is a little truer to the point. I do struggle with anxiety and stress. It wasn't something that maybe happened to me before Duchenne, but after Duchenne, it's a reality. Sometimes I lay down. I find the quiet still of the night to be just the perfect time to let my brain start to kind of go into overdrive and to worry about things. And so that's my reality. If it's your reality too, I thought, you know, maybe we could start a DMD insomnia group. I don't know if we would do something beneficial, or maybe we'd come up with negative things if we did that. But I do have some positive strategies that I do that I thought, you know, I can come and bring those. And so this slide is intended to kind of show what Duchenne can be with support and without. And in that top picture you see Grant, and he has kind of a shocked look on his face. And we went to the ocean. It was a cold day, but he wanted to go see the water, and then he got kind of hit by a trick wave, and it was shocking, and we said that he was oceaned. We turned it into a verb. And so it's like the top picture there kind of shows you what Duchenne can be like without support. You just kind of get hit in the face there with a wave. And then on the bottom there, you see him in a boat. And then you see how much nicer the water seems to be there when you all of a sudden have the support of a boat underneath you. And then, of course, Duchenne too can be a lot like climbing a mountain sometimes. You know, we have a lot, when we go over, we think about all the stuff we've heard about. We've heard about the science, the carrier stuff. We hear about school and accessibility, inclusivity, all these things. it seems like a whole lot of stuff that we have to conquer. And so I said that right now it might be that mountain, that huge valley in that mountain, but hopefully in the future when we hear about some of the promising research that's happening, and hopefully some of the things that are going to come to fruition, hopefully one day it can be more like kind of this roller coaster ride where Grant is just absolutely just enjoying himself. He's having the best day ever. So this is my kind of goal to say, hopefully with the right support, we can make this life with Duchenne more calm, an easier way to manage. Another strategy that I have is that I can't fix Duchenne. None of us can. But maybe the attitude with which we come to this process. And for me and for my family, we have found that laughter is really good medicine. I just kind of put a lot of pictures of just sort of our daily life and just some of the fun we have. I love the one where Grant up there is acting like he's being mauled by a bear. And so just, I think just taking that moment and appreciating the life and the day that we have today with our families is one that for us is something that really helps us. And we try to take adventures, like even if it's a trip to the grocery store, in my opinion, that can be turned into an adventure if you just have kind of the right attitude with it. So laughter is really good medicine is another one of my strategies that I actually follow. And then potential future. And one thing I kind of came up with and decided for myself is that we were given a diagnosis, but we were not given a crystal ball. So just because we know that in a diagnosis like Duchenne, that it's a progressive disease, it doesn't mean that we really know in our situation, in our cases, what's going to happen. It's not the same thing as reading the future and having the crystal ball. We know what the potential is, but we can also choose to look at potential as a negative doom uncertainty or as a positive for potential. And so, we've been reminded, getting to come to this great futures presentation, all the possibility that is existing out there that's coming to fruition. The exon skipping panel yesterday that just had so many more chairs than it had just a couple of years ago. And so we can decide that we can wait and see for us what that's going to be and not decide to mourn a loss until it's actually happened to us. I will say that I didn't always do that, but that's something I've done for myself now, and it's really been the nicest gift I could give myself, just looking at that uncertainty as possibility. So here's what I realized in preparing for this, that if we, pardon me, if they were gonna have an Olympics for caregivers, we would definitely win gold. And I really did look into getting each of us a gold medal that I could hand out. But you think about all the things that we do in this disease as caregivers. A lot of it comes down to caregiving, a lot of what we do. We so far haven't had all these strides in science yet. We haven't had, all of us, the gene therapy. But what we've done, the progress we've made for our disease has so much come from caregiving, our diet, stretching, medication, supplements, going to the orthotist, school advocacy, so many of these things, and we haven't even begun to talk about our jobs, the dentist, taking our kids to the regular pediatrician, our marriages. And so I do believe that we all deserve a gold medal. And I will say that one final thing is like finding a network of people who will support you in your journey is another strategy that's really good for caregivers. And in my opinion, Cure Duchenne really is a caregiver for us caregivers. And so I just wanted to say too, another congratulations. Not only did you just win gold medal at the Caregiving Olympics, but you also, by coming here and us just having this moment where we support each other, we turn to one another, we share with one another, and we just have fun with one another, we are doing a good job of building a support network that will help to care for us as caregivers. So congratulations twice. That's nice. And we are ending. I mean, this is going to be our last session, and it's been 2 years since we've had this in-person event. And so something else I want to send each of us home with is that not every day can be futures. We can't always, I wish it could, but not every day can be futures. But that doesn't mean that when we go home and we leave this good feeling that we have to feel like we go back to an island. There are programs at Cure Duchenne that can really be tools for our caregiver toolbox. Are you guys impressed with my tools and the toolbox there that I found? I mean, PowerPoint picture, thank you. But we have a lot of programs that can offer us all support as caregivers. We have our one-on-one program. If you are a family out there, and I've met so many of you and it's been so wonderful, but if you feel like you need answers and you need support, when you leave here, that doesn't mean that has to stop. You can contact us and we can connect you with another family who maybe has been on this journey longer and can offer you that support. And by the same token, if you are a family who has been on this road a bit and you could offer that assistance to another family, please get together and let's do that. Let's link that up, because it's a really great thing. I know how much that's been helpful for me on my road. The physical therapy support program, we've talked about that a few times. They have so many resources that can really help us in our day-to-day life, and I know how important physical therapy is for us. We've got regional in-person events, so look and see if there's one coming to an area near you. If you feel like your area would really benefit from something like that, please let us know and we'll come, we listen. I told Cure Duchenne at one time, come to Oklahoma, and they came twice, and so we'll come to you. We have these virtual meetups, and I know that was maybe a negative about the pandemic, but it's also been a positive, is that us getting to connect through Zoom, we can still kind of have these feelings that we have when we're together through our virtual events, and so be looking out for those. Webinars, and we are going to tackle some important issues over the next year. We're going to talk about having good conversations with our kids about Duchenne in a positive and effective way. And then we all are going to look forward to the next time we get together again for Futures. Okay, so I said that, with all these tools that we just put in our toolbox now, people will say, are you guys magicians? And we're like, no, I'm not a magician, just a caregiver with a couple of Twix up my sleeve. Okay, I heard a couple. I'll take it. So, we didn't plan for this life, right? We didn't plan to have Duchenne. It wasn't something we would have signed up and wished for if we could have. But number one, I can't help but get emotional that being around all of you, it's so heartwarming for me. It's a gift to get to have these connections with each of you and to get to share what our experience is like. And so I know we didn't ask for this, but I look at so much of what I get on this gift, on this journey, as being such a wonderful gift. And so, sorry, it just came out. But I know that there's more challenges in this life. We have more joy, though. We have more adventures. I feel like I wear my heart on my sleeve more because I have more of a connection now, which I maybe didn't have before this diagnosis. So while there are struggles and challenges, I now that I have Duchenne in my life, I appreciate more life. I appreciate more just the experience that we got to have here. The dancing last night, I just appreciate that so much deeper now than I would have before Duchenne. So when I look at it like that, I look at what a gift it's been. And I say that, I have a great kid. I have 2 great kids. The DMD is the way I get to experience my son. I will most gladly take it. And I know you guys feel the same way that I do. And so because my son's name is Grant, we always say, don't take life for granted. And, Master Oogway from Kung Fu Panda, I don't know if people without children think that they get their philosophical ideas from cartoon movies, but we certainly do. And we love in our family this quote, that yesterday is history, tomorrow is a mystery, but today is a gift. That's why it's called a present. And being here with all of you has been a present, so we all get to enjoy our gift. So thank you so much, you guys. There you go.
Good afternoon. I'm Laura McLinn, and right before we came on the stage, I actually told Leslie, I'm not going to stand up. And so I'm going to sit, and I'm going to sit here with Marisa, and I was thinking, Normally on a Sunday, part of what I do on a Sunday is I have a call with Marisa, and she's become a friend and a mentor, and I'm looking forward to hearing her talk, but right now I'm just gonna pretend I'm sitting on my back porch and I'm having a call with Marisa, and you guys are all gonna be a part of our call. So thank you, Leslie, for sharing all of those tools, and thank you, Deborah and Paul and Hawken, for such a great conference. I was supposed to talk about community today, and I was just thinking about, before I came, I had some thoughts. I put some slides together. I don't know if I'm going to even share my slides or not. I might skip through some of them. But I was thinking this whole conference has been about community, not just this. So I was, preparing for our talk about community, but this whole thing has been about community, and it's really been incredible. So thank you guys all for being here, and thank you to Cure Duchenne for making this happen. I have some notes. I may look at them. I may not. I'm not sure. But thanks for being a part of our Sunday call. So last night, I was actually we were sitting in the lobby bar, and Jordan was there. Joseph was there. Jordan's my son. Joseph's Marisa's son, and we were all there. And I was sitting next to someone that presented on the last panel, and I'm sorry that I don't even remember his last name, but his first name was Joe. And the reason I remember that is because we talked about Joe, and we talked about Joseph, and we talked about Jordan's middle name is Joseph, and that's what I remember from last night. And what I really remember about that is how Joe sat down with our boys, and he talked to them. He had a conversation with them, and he made them feel like they were a part of this community, and they're the reason that we're all here. And it was really special, and I just wanted to make sure that I mentioned that. But Joe asked me a question about what I do, and I didn't know how to answer it. And I sat there for a minute, and I was like, oh my gosh, what do I do? So I was a math teacher for 12 years, and then I met Jeff. We started our family. I left the public school classroom. I started my own business. I started an early learning center called Indie Learning Center. And then along the way, somehow I also became a Duchenne advocate and a mom to 3 amazing kids that I'm going to tell you a little bit about. And I wear a lot of hats, and today I'm just here to talk to you about being a caregiver, though, which is one of the best things I've ever done in my life. I want to tell you really quick about my jewelry before I go too far. I have turtles on my ears, and I have turtles on my heart. My husband bought me this jewelry when we were in Hawaii recently. Jordan has always wanted to go to Hawaii for his Make-A-Wish, and they stopped doing trips during COVID, and we just decided this last spring break that we were going to do it. And when we were there, we didn't do a lot of things. We went to the Dole Plantation, and we went to see the turtles, and those are the 2 biggest things I remember about that trip. And we took our time, and we went slow, and that's what I'm going to do with my next 11 minutes with you guys, is I'm just going to go slow, and I'm just going to be in the moment with you. I'm going to talk about Marisa a little bit because I can't help but talk about her, but she has a podcast, and it's called Making Our Way. And I was privileged enough to be like part of those early conversations when she was talking about even like giving it a name and like, what it was going to be. And I remember telling her, I think your podcast should be In the Moment with Marisa. She said, no, I don't want my name on it. I'm not going to do that. But I want to talk to you just about being in the moment. And I'm so grateful to just be in this moment with all of you. And I just want to talk about a little bit more about what that means to me and my family. And I'm just grateful to be here in this moment with you. So I'm going to start with my family because I can't talk about who I am without talking about my family. This is who I am very quickly, though. I'm Laura. I am the founding president of the Best Day Ever Foundation, which is a foundation that we formed 5 years ago. And I do want to point out, because I am supposed to be sharing tools with you, So one tool I'm going to give you is just a little website I created called dmdresources.org. It's a place where I have personally collected just a lot of different resources. I started doing it for myself, and I actually made a little website that only I had access to, and then I started sharing it. So I'm going to let you know, if you find a typo, please give me some grace. But there's a lot of things on there. It's just me behind the keyboard, just being honest. But it's just a website where you can find a list of lots of different organizations and just lots of different resources that I've learned about along the way. That's my passion, is sharing resources with families. I don't try to duplicate things other people are doing, but I love sharing all of the wonderful things that are out there. Most of you in this community know me as Jordan's mom, and I am Jordan's mom, and he's awesome. He's here with me today. This is Jordan, and he is the reason that I am a part of this community. I'll tell you a little bit about Jordan. First of all, he's not in this room, and normally he is in this room with me. Jordan has had a seat at lots of grown-up tables. He's had a seat at the White House, all the way to the firehouse, to just our house. He can engage in a lot of adult conversations, but today he is playing games with other Duchenne kids, which is exactly where he should be. So thank you to Cure Duchenne, PTC, for putting that room together. He is having the time of his life. So some of you may know me as Jordan's mom because I've been very transparent with his journey. He was in a clinical trial, and we traveled a lot. For a few years, he's now on 2 approved treatments for Duchenne. We've been super transparent with our journey on social media. I want to share something, and I asked Deborah before I came up today if I may have permission to share this, but Jordan is 13. He's walking around, he's thriving, he's doing very well. And I used to pray every single night since Jordan's diagnosis, thanking God for Jordan's miracle. And that prayer has taken on a lot of different meanings through our journey. I used to pray. I'm going to be very open and transparent with you. I used to, thank God for Jordan's miracle because I thought he was going to be just 100% healed from Duchenne. And my faith is really important to me. I can't talk about myself without talking about my faith. I do believe in miracles. I do believe that can happen. I also really believe in science. I'm a science nerd. But somewhere along the way, my prayer changed a little bit. And now what I do is I don't thank God for Jordan's miracle, but I thank God for my miracle. And Jordan is my miracle. And all of our boys are our miracle. All of our kids are our miracle. And I asked Deborah if I may have permission to share this. So Jordan is a miracle, but he's not my miracle because he's walking around with DMD at 13. He is a miracle because his inmost being was knit together in my womb. And he was fearfully and wonderfully made, and he is perfect. All of my kids are miracles. All of our kids are miracles. And every day that we have is a miracle. So with that said, I want to move on and tell you about some of my other miracles. So these are my daughters. This is Danica and Bella. And they are at home this weekend, which is exactly where they wanted to be, so that's where they're at. And sometimes they come with us, and sometimes they don't. They're both teenagers. I have 3 teenagers now, which is crazy. But they are all part of my miracles. And Bella is driving now. Danica's getting ready to drive. They're in high school, and they're just amazing. And this is a picture of all the kids together with our dog, Charlie. I can't talk about myself without talking about this guy who's right here at this table. This is Jeff. This is the dad of these kids. And he's amazing. And I was trying to think, what can I say about Jeff and us before I came up here? And there's so many things I can say. And a lot of the things I started to think about all involve our kids. So I started thinking, I am a Duchenne mom, and I don't mind saying I'm a Duchenne mom. And some people say, well, I'm a mom who has a son with Duchenne. I'm a Duchenne mom. I don't mind saying that. But I'm also Jeff's wife, and I'm also Bella's mom and Danica's mom. And So I'm going to share just a silly thing that Jeff and I like to do, and it might come shocking to you, but we love spending time together. We love riding bikes. We love playing games. We do love being with our kids, and we also love crashing parties. So sometimes we go to parties and we just crash parties. So there you go. That's something fun about Jeff and I. We've had a lot of fun together. It's been a great journey. This is all of us together. This is my mom and my brother. My mom is 70 years young this year, so I wouldn't be here without my mom and my dad and our fur babies. This is all of us, and I also have 2 bonus daughters, and this is Haley and Michaela. So Jordan is actually, he has 4 sisters, and he's our baby. So he's very lucky to have all these girls. So we have an amazing family, and I know we're supposed to be talking about caregivers, but I can't talk about being a caregiver without talking about our entire family. Leslie, I think you mentioned this. It wasn't just Jordan that was diagnosed with Duchenne. We were all diagnosed, and so we're all in this together, and I'm so grateful to have my family. So I did put together some slides to talk about tools that we're supposed to be talking about, and so I kind of looked up the definition of community before we came. And I just, there's lots of definitions out there. So I found some of these, like these are from the dictionary. So community is a unified body of individuals. Yeah, that makes sense. It's a group of people that have a common characteristic or interest living together with a larger purpose, or the feeling of fellowship with others as a result of sharing common attitudes, interests. I don't know why the whole thing's not showing, but none of this matters because I'm going to get to this. I read through all these definitions and I kind of made my own. So I took out the word or and I changed it to and here. So this was my favorite one that I found. So to me, what a community means, it is a joint ownership, but it is also participation. So I want to share with you just a little bit about what Best Day Ever Foundation is. So we are a small nonprofit. We are geographically located in Indianapolis, and we do a lot of different things for families. A lot of it is local, but one of the things that I want to talk about today is a monthly program that we have called Living Our Best Lives with Duchenne. And what we do is monthly, we just, during COVID, it's just been a Zoom call, but we're super excited that in June we're going to be able to get together in person. And what we do is we share resources that are important to Indiana families. So we have a lot of families that aren't fortunate enough to be here, but what we can all do, and what I hope we will all do, is take what we're learning here and go back to our communities, whether it's our Duchenne under 10 community or our, whatever community you have. For me, it's, I'm a part of a lot of communities, but I'm looking forward to taking back everything I've learned to my Indiana community that's not here. And one of the things that we do is we try to empower families to become mentors to other families. And so I'll take back everything I've learned, but when we have our meetings, what we do is we encourage other families to share what they've learned along the way. So we share things about Indiana Medicaid waivers, IEPs. We have a special thing called the Access Pass, and I'm not going to go into all those details here because this isn't my Indiana community. But what I want to do, I wanted to share this because I was asked to share about the Best Day Ever Foundation. But what I want you to mostly take away from this is we are better together, but I also think we're best together. And I'm grateful for this community. Grateful for this time together. And I'm going to introduce my friend Marisa. I'm going to cut my time a little bit short here because, well, actually, first, I'm going to share just a couple more things because I have a minute. I want to share, sorry, I didn't think I would take my time, and here I am, I'm taking it. So, but I can't wait to hear Marisa talk too. I want to talk about some things that happened here at conference, and I want to give you my perspective from a caregiver about what happened here. So I love to write down quotes, and I usually take away like just one little quote or golden nugget from everything. And I know I'm going to leave people out, but I already mentioned Joe last night, the way that he made our boys feel, the way he made me feel when he was talking to our boys, it was amazing. I want to talk about the hug. I have a photo of this. I wish I could put it up here. Judy, she's with NS Pharma. We were at the booth, and I wish I had a picture of the hug when she was giving Jordan a hug. And I could go on and on about everybody that's in this room. Carl Morris from Solid, one of the quotes I wrote down that he said today, "We're all working on this together." And that just filled my heart. Thinking back to the keynote speakers about the impossible being possible, and something that really stood out, talking about Victoria at the end of that, when Victoria said, "Can I help?" And I can't wait to hear Marisa talk more about that very question right there and how to respond to that. So with that said, Marisa always says something on her podcast, and I hope I get it right here, but she says, we are each other's keepers, and we can also be each other's teachers. And she says we are better together, and I believe we are best together, and I can't wait to hear her talk. So.
Aww. Thank you. Just need the clicker, sorry. Hi, what tough acts to follow. Leslie and Laura, it's an honor to share our seats on the stage with you. So my name is Marisa Penrod. I'm here from Michigan. I'm going to talk to you as a caregiver, but also as a community member. I've been in this space for a really long time. I have 3 kids, a 26-year-old daughter, which I still sort of choke on those words when I say she's 26. I don't know how that happened. I have a 23-year-old son. He just turned 23 last night in the lobby bar. Turned 23. And I have a 19-year-old son, Joseph, who's right here with us today. When Joseph was diagnosed, the way for me to channel my heartache, my grief, was to get busy. And I started a nonprofit called Team Joseph, and for years we funded research. About 5 years ago, when Joseph was in the early stages of having lost the ability to walk, and he was in a power wheelchair full time, and we had to modify our home, and I had to figure out how to get a handy accessible vehicle. I became, of course, acutely aware of the depths of this journey and what it takes to navigate it. And I have really good health insurance for Joseph. I have a really supportive community. I like to joke and say most days I'm pretty emotionally stable, and I felt like I was doing okay. But what I started to wonder is, how do people navigate this journey if they don't have resources, if they don't have a supportive community, if they have other difficult things in their life? And that led me to, with my dear friend and partner in the Duchenne Family Assistance Program, we started this program to say, well, let's help families in the moment. So we believe very much in the power and the possibility of research, the hope for tomorrow, but we also believe in the power of living today, and how do we help each other right now today navigate what Duchenne is currently. So we started a family assistance program. So what I'm going to share with you today is my 15 years of experience in the Duchenne world personally, but also my 15 years of experience working deeply entrenched in the community with families and individuals and helping people navigate. So I'm going to share my perspective, but I'm also going to weave in the perspective of so many of you who I've had the chance to hug and to get to know. So here we go. So I'm going to tell you that I'm going to take the pressure off everybody who doesn't do slides, because here are my slides. Joseph helped me make them on the plane on the way here, and well, Carrie made that. Thanks, Carrie. That's the best slide because there's a photo. I have no photos of my children. So here's what I'm going to tell you, what I know for sure about the Duchenne, the path that we walk together, and being a Duchenne caregiver. So when Joseph was diagnosed, on diagnosis day, we had been to, I had taken him to the pediatrician, and I was concerned he wasn't able to climb steps, he was never able to run, and she asked him to do a couple of things, watched him physically. She left the room, and she came back in, and she handed me a card, and she said, you have an appointment tomorrow morning with the neurologist at the University of Michigan. And I felt the air go out of my lungs. My heart was beating in my chest so hard I felt like I could see it. And so we went the next day to the appointment with the neurologist, and he sat across from my husband, my then husband, now my ex-husband. That's a different conference. And he said, we have Joseph's preliminary blood work back from yesterday, and I'm 99% sure he has a form of muscular dystrophy called Duchenne. So he started talking to us about it, and he said, I'm going to make an appointment for you to see a specialist. It'll take about 8 weeks. And so I thought, 8 weeks? So I sat back in my chair and I said, I'm not waiting 8 weeks. And he reached across his desk and he very gently, patronizingly patted my hand, and he said, oh, Marisa, that's just the way it works. So I sat back and I said, not anymore. I said, I'm not leaving. I'm not getting out of this chair until you get me an appointment with the specialist. And I told him, I said, you can page him, you can call him, you can text him, I don't care what you do, but I'm not leaving. At which point he looked over at my ex-husband and just kind of like quizzically, and my ex-husband just did this. Now, we know that is international guy code for just do what she says and nobody gets hurt. So the neurologist said, I guess I could send him an email. So he turns and he gets on his computer and he's typing away. Now, in retrospect, I'm pretty sure he was emailing security. But he did call me the next morning and say, you have an appointment next Monday at 10 a.m. Is that okay with you? I'm like, yes, that's great. So what happened very quickly, though, is we left and you're in a fog. And I thought, I don't know how to do this. I don't even know how to pronounce Duchenne. I was learning how to spell it. So what happened for me is I was looking for clues for how to navigate this journey. And the greatest clue to teach me what I now know for sure is this. This is a path of many paths. So we're all in the Duchenne family, but we all have different paths that we take. And so we were up north the summer after Joseph got diagnosed, and we used to stay at this big house on the beach with my parents and all my brothers and sisters, and there was 14 grandkids. And every night after we barbecued dinner, my dad would pull cash out of his pocket, and he would give money to all the grandkids, and they would walk into town to get ice cream. And so 14 grandkids. So they're all like tumble off this big porch, and they're going down the sidewalk, and they're excited to get ice cream. And I was going with them because Joseph's the youngest grandchild, and I knew that I kind of needed to keep an eye on him. And everybody's running ahead, and Joseph was lagging behind. And all that I felt was pure anger. And I was angry at Duchenne, I was angry at the world, and I was angry at all of his cousins and his brother and sister who weren't noticing that he was lagging behind. So Joseph calls out to me and he says, Mom, look, do you see this? And he's 5. He's this sweet little, cute, chubby 5-year-old. He says, Mom, look. And there was all these beautiful plants along the sidewalk in somebody's front yard. And he said, Mom, look, do you see this? And he crouched down, and I'm thinking, yeah, I see all your cousins and your brother and sister not waiting for you. That's what I see. He says, come here, look. So I crouched down next to him, and he says, look, do you see that ladybug? And that changed everything for me. And I thought, we're going to do life differently. We are going to go slower, but we're going to see so much more. And that has served us well. And so what I want to say to you guys is that this is not a one-size-fits-all. You get to decide what a good life looks like for you. And it's not what my good life looks like, and it's not what Leslie's looks like, and it's not what Laura's looks like, and it doesn't have to be what anybody else's looks like. You don't have to start a nonprofit. You do not have to run a marathon. You don't have to advocate on Capitol Hill. You have to do what works for your family. This is a path, the Duchenne path, but it's a path of many paths. And I always encourage people, you find your own way and you do what works for you. And that's how you have a great, healthy, and happy life with Duchenne kind of riding, in the seat next to you. The other thing I want to share with you guys, after 15 years in this, I have to put on my readers for this one, is that there's a lot to do. Aren't my slides exciting? This is There's a lot to do. So here's the deal. There's a lot to do, and I'm really tired, and I still keep like a pencil with a calendar, so I'm very low tech. So, but here's what I want to share. So we all want to go to good clinics, right? We want to get the best of care for our kids. So I want to share with you, this is actually the notebook that I take with me to clinic appointments. This is from one of Joseph's appointments 2 years ago, right before COVID hit. This is our follow-up. These are my notes, okay? So I'm going to go through it. We need wheelchair repairs. He has to get fitted for AFOs. We got a prescription for aquatic therapy that I have to make phone calls and find a place to do aquatic therapy. He needs a hospital bed. We have to change our schedule for physical therapy. We need an endocrine appointment because he's been on steroids for a while, so bone health is an issue. So we need to get an appointment so we can start IV bisphosphonates. We need an ophthalmology appointment to check for cataracts. We got a spine x-ray at that appointment. We had a DEXA scan. We need to make an appointment for a cardiac MRI. He got his EKG today at the appointment. He had his PFT, pulmonary function test, but we need a follow-up from that. He needs a sleep study. They'll call us. It took 6 months for them to call us and me to call back 3 times. He needs fasting blood work. He got his echocardiogram that day. He needs a flu shot. We think he needs a pneumonia shot, but his mother can't remember if he already had it. So we have to wait and check on that. It's time to get a raised toilet seat. And we need to look at getting a new wheelchair, which will involve an insurance battle. All of this in follow-up from an appointment. This is a full-time job, and it takes all of our efforts to follow up on this, hours of phone calls, lots of follow-up appointments. What I want to say to you is that the ship is sinking, and we keep putting more on, and we don't take anything off. So I'm going to share with you a pivotal moment for Joseph and I both, and it was a number of years ago. But what happens with this kind of a list and these kinds of expectations is there are moments in the journey where we are filled with shame and with guilt because we're supposed to do it all, and some days we can't. And we also have to make choices for our own life. And I will tell you, as a caregiver and as a community member who's dealt and worked with so many families, we had to make a decision about Joseph's leg braces. And he had some independence left in the middle of the night. He could turn himself over. He could transfer into his wheelchair if he needed to go to the bathroom. And it was his AFOs that were taking his last bits of independence away. And we had to talk about it. And he was getting, was uncomfortable. It was heavy for him. And I was literally completely terrified to go to his clinic appointment and tell Brenda Wong that we weren't wearing AFOs at night anymore. I wanted to lie to Dr. Brenda Wong, the sweetest, most amazing doctor. Brenda, if you're watching, I love you, and we're going to wear our braces, I promise. But what I want to say to you is that we have these standards of care. We have expectations. We do a lot of shoulding on each other. You should do that. You should consider that. You should be doing that. And I want to say today that I ask people all the time, stop shoulding on me. Stop shoulding on each other. We're doing our best. And sometimes standards have to become suggestions because we need a quality of life. And I learned very early on that I needed to take Joseph's lead on what a good life meant to him. Because I'm his mom and I want desperately to protect him. It's not my life. It's Joseph's life. And I've learned to listen, and I've learned to watch, and I've learned to compromise and let go. And I am not a medical professional. I'm going to say that, I could say it again for the people in the back. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm telling you to find the courage to ask questions and to live the life that you want to live as a family. The other thing that I want to tell you is that, and I'm going to make a couple more points. We're actually going to ask you guys in a minute to participate in something. What I want to tell you is this. We talk a lot about self-care. A woman came up to me in the grocery store once I barely knew, but she was from our school, and she's like, you need to get some rest. And I want to say, really? Because I never think about that I might need some sleep. We talk a lot about self-care, and people will say to me, are you eating? And I'm like, yeah, I'm eating. We need community care, too, right? And we talk a lot about self-care. We need to take care of each other. We need to help each other. We need to have each other's back. We need to find our person who we call on Sunday mornings and we talk about things. We need to find a community, and it can be one person, it can be a bunch of people, but we don't have to do it alone. We do not have to do this alone, nor should we. So the one thing, I have just a little bit of time left, what I want to share with you is this. It's okay to ask for help. On the day that Joseph was diagnosed and my head was spinning, I was thinking, the one thing that kept coming into my head is, I am going to need a really good therapist to get through this. And about a year ago, I was sharing with a friend in the Duchenne space. I'm like, oh, I have the best counselor. And she's like, Marisa, you seem so happy. Like, it just doesn't seem like you have a counselor. You're so happy. I was like, that's because I have a counselor. And what I want to say to you is this. I have a car. Most of us have cars unless you rely on public transportation. Here's the deal. We don't wait to change the oil until our engine burns up, right? We maintain our engine and our vehicle. It's okay to ask for help. And if it's counseling or it's turning to a friend or it's saying, I don't know how to do this, it is okay to ask for help. And I will tell you this, that people are watching. They're watching you, they're watching me, they're watching Leslie, they're watching Laura. And by us humbling ourselves to say, I don't know how to do this, I can't do this alone, what happens is that we give other people permission to ask for help. That's leadership in this community. So I'm going to end by telling you this. This path we walk is what I call a path of duality. It's grief and it's joy. It's hope and it's despair. It's the vision for the future and the worry about what's in front of us today. And sometimes those things all happen on the same day, sometimes in the same moment. We can feel joy and fear and grief all at the same time. Here's what I believe. We fund research at Team Joseph. I believe in research. I believe in the hope for the future. But what I can tell you is this, that for everything that Duchenne takes away from us, there is so much that remains. And that is the stuff that doesn't need to be fixed. We don't have to fix everything. We can take the heavy weight we carry, or like a picture it as a backpack, we can take the heaviness we carry and we can set it down. We don't have to carry it every single day. And we don't have to own the responsibility to fix everything all the time. So I will tell you this, my Joseph's here, in Laura and I did not talk about what we were going to say on this panel, but I used to pray for a miracle. And I had a revelation at one point, and I thought, oh my gosh, what am I thinking? The miracle's already here. It is Joseph. And I think to myself, what must it feel like as a boy, now a young man, a 19-year-old who finished his first year at college this year, what must it feel like for the adults in your life to be focused on that you've got to be fixed? Everything doesn't need to be fixed. I think Joseph's pretty freaking perfect. I think Jake is perfect, and I think Jack is perfect, and I think all these boys in this room come with so many incredible gifts. So here's what I want to say to you. This is the hand we've been dealt. Let's play it. This is a life we've been given, and I think we better live the heck out of it. Oh, and see, I'm so bad at this. Here, look, that's, okay, those are all the slides. There we go. If you want to call me or email me, there we go. And Joseph, make sure I didn't misspell anything. I think we're good. You guys are the best. I'm going to turn it back to Leslie because we want to do a little bit of celebrating of all the good in our life.
Click to it.
Okay, she's letting me click. This is not my thing. There we go.
Go one more. Go one more.
I am coachable.
Yeah. So, and I love that you guys sat down, but I feel like I have to be the one. I have to stand up. So now I like to tower, maybe. But you know what I love is that we all came kind of to talk about something different. We all kind of took different facets, and yet we really all said the same thing. You know, we have our different way of saying it, but in the end, we all said that we love our life, right? And that we love this community and we love the journey. And I love too that You know, I was getting up here feeling the emotion, the effect of it from all these people that I meet and I'd taken on, and I worry for them and I worry for us and I worry for you, and that I look over across and you're teary-eyed too. And then you realize this connection that we all have, you know, and that I was having that moment, but clearly you were also. And so there's that thing that's the part, right? That's the part that this brings us, and it gets to be a little overwhelming sometimes, and that's what it is. And so that's why we also wanted to open it up to all of us, to say, we offered up some questions, but we'd like to hear from you guys. A couple that we suggested was, what have you learned from Duchenne? What has Duchenne given you? So does anybody want to share?
We're
Oh,
not
I see
leaving.
one.
We're not leaving until you share.
I'm here, I got it.
Yeah.
So my name's Brad, I'm from Raleigh. My son's Nathan, he's 6 years old.
Yeah.
Most of you probably now know me as the pickleball guy. That's me. So the first thing that Duchenne is actually giving me, and you guys have said it, is literally all of you.
Yeah.
You know, another family that I never knew that I would ever have. So that is like the biggest thing that Duchenne has given me. It's also shown me and my wife kind of, we can do more than we thought we ever could. You know, times that we didn't think we could step up and do it, we've done it. And it could not be done without the support of everybody here. So thank you.
Thank you. More of you are brave.
I'm a Grammy, so I'm not mom or dad. I have a 17-year-old grandson who has Duchenne. That's only part of him.
Yeah.
And we have our routine. Until recently, was like 3 days a week, I would go to their house and get him up for school because mom was at work. And every day I'd go in and he'd say, remember, remember. And he'd tell me, remember all these things. And then he'd look at me and then we'd laugh because he knows I remember, but he has to say those things. So it just, and then there'll be times where I'll say, hey, why don't you, and he'll look at me and go, you know I can't do that. I mean, we have those moments where Duchenne's not there. And then we have the moments where they are. So.
Thanks, Mary. You know, is this still on?
Uh-huh.
I'm on. I just want to say one quick thing. So I push back really hard on this when people say, you know, Duchenne boys. And I'm like, they're not Duchenne boys. They're boys. And they're young men. They have Duchenne. Duchenne is what Joseph has. It's not what he is. It's a piece of his life. And he gets to decide, we get to create a family and a home that determines how much of that is his life and what it looks like. And we say this about science. You know, it's an N of 32 and an N of 68. Our boys aren't N's. And our boys aren't here to serve the science. The science is here to serve our boys. They are boys first, and our sons. And I'm going to say this, and then I'll stop because we're going to throw the microphone. And it's not just my son. Joseph's a grandson, and he's a cousin, and he's a student, and he's a best friend. And thank God, he's a roommate in a regular dorm at Michigan State University. They're not just boys with Duchenne. They have a full, rich, whole life, and we have to advocate for that. They are more than this disease, and they always will be.
So who else? Come on. You can also share about something you just want to share about, or something Marisa just said. Yeah.
Well, my wife keeps looking at me and telling me to share, so.
Good. Listen to your wife. I can tell you.
Make this brief. We found out about Nick when he was 7, and like many of your stories, it turned our world upside down, and for a year it was navigating on, now what? What are we going to do? Which path are we going to take? And we did the crazy thing. We sold our home in 7 acres, and we drove across the country with 3 crates and moved to Hawaii for 2.5 years to live our big adventure because life was short. And that big lawn and the toys in the shed really didn't mean anything. Time meant everything. Our relationship with our son and with each other meant everything, and everything else was so small. And so we did what we did, crazy as we were, and now we're back here in Florida. And if it wasn't for Duchenne, would we have done any of these things? And no, so we wouldn't change it for anything in the world, for all the experiences we've had.
I see another one. For you to say that, this question was going to be, what gift has Duchenne been to you? And we didn't want to be, yeah, I know that can be a lot for some people, and so we didn't want to push against that, but you just said it and it made me cry a little more. Thank you.
Hi, can I just sit? This is my first time in these communities. My son Max, who you probably said dancing yesterday, got diagnosed about 3 years ago, and for the most part of the last 3 years, except for a few months, I'm the single dad looking after him, and my parents come from China to help us from time to time. It has been very difficult, I can't lie, but on the other hand, he's also one of the luckiest, I guess, one of the luckier boys. So he's doing slightly better than other kids with Duchenne, and also he was in the clinical trial. So he's still walking around, jumping around. He's very lively, and I'm very grateful for that. And this is the first time I really get into personal connections with this community. So I'm really grateful for this opportunity, and for the help I got all along. But I would say that Duchenne really, well, of course, turned everyone's world upside down, but it also gave me a chance to really look into his need, and we've been much stronger bond, I think, than otherwise, partly because I was also thinking that. But I can look at him all the time, I can always listen to him, and I appreciate every little bit of improvement he got along his way. And we talk a lot, we had a lot of happy moments. So I think that make our life very different. I think kind of like father-son relationship that would otherwise be. So I'm grateful for that, and I look forward to really see more improvement and opportunities to him. But also along the way, I would say, there's of course sacrifice as we have to make. As you can imagine, being a single dad looking after him, I pretty much kind of like gave up my career over the last few years. I just don't care as long as they pay me, and I can raise my son. And by the way, my daily work is a researcher on climate change. So it's also a huge challenge for humanity. But I feel like, I have no regret giving up my effort on that part. As far as, there are so many people worrying about it, but for my son, he only has me. And I can do not enough really to look after him and to get what he wants, to have a better life. So I really look forward to walking this way along together with you for many years to come, and hopefully you all we have a much better and brighter future.
Thank you. So now we kind of have reached the end of our time. I see arms waving. Okay, we've got one more, and that's, I think, that's my Grant. Yeah, Grant.
I wanted to speak.
Oh, you just wanted to see the thing?
Yeah, I have it.
Yeah, do you have a question? Do you have a comment?
Well, I know that when you live with Duchenne, you can go through it because you can be loved.
Awesome.
Man, you just messed it up. Man, you guys, I've been trying to hold it together, and then my kid gets up. And, Okay, but Grant, I love you so much, but man, you couldn't give it me, So that's the end of it. We want to close it. I just want to really share my gratitude to Cure Duchenne. I feel like when you have a Duchenne family who starts an organization, this is the kind of stuff you get. We get these things like the experience to see an animal and go pet it and to go dance like that last night. It's just been such a beautiful thing, so I appreciate it so much. I appreciate all of you for sharing your stories over this weekend, for coming and being vulnerable with us, for sharing your stories right now. Thanks so much. It's been such a great event. I just appreciate it so much, and we are gonna hand it over to Paul and Deborah, but you guys, even like all the applause through this presentation, it's just been beautiful, and I couldn't be more grateful. Thank you so much. Thanks. Come on, you guys.